Hi everyone, thanks for joining me for Coffee and Card at Home today. So this morning we had our Zoom session as we normally do on a Monday morning, and we're on week 2 of using the Dress to Impress stamp set. So this is our replay for our Facebook live this evening, so that anybody that wasn't able to be there can catch up, and anyone else that wants to pop in and have a look at what we've been doing can have a little look and hopefully have a go as well. So this was the card that we made this morning. It's using the lipstick from a stamp set and a few other little bits and pieces, and I've also used the trio punch using this little corner piece here as well, which you can see I've punched out the shapes there. So let's get started. So what you're going to need to begin with is a Calypso Coral card base. This is a standard C6 size. Hi Tracy, thanks for joining me. So I hope you're able to craft along with your bits and pieces, Tracy. If not, you can obviously have a little watch and then come back to it afterwards. So whatever works best for you. So we've got the C6 card base, and we are going to stamp first of all. I'm going to do some tone on tone stamping. So we're using the same colour ink on the card. So I've got Calypso Coral ink on a Calypso Coral card. So first of all, I'm going to take the lipstick stamp, and I'm just going to stamp randomly all over the back to create a background. So we're just going to stamp anywhere, stamping off a little bit as well. A lot of this isn't actually going to be seen in the end. The only thing I do want to do is I want to keep all of my lipsticks going the same way around. You don't have to, but I just thought that I would prefer that. And of course you could use a different colour completely and go for one of the other colours we're using, or a completely different colour altogether. And whilst I've got my Calypso Coral out, I'm going to take my piece of Whisper White. This has been cut, so I'll just check the measurements for you. So this has been cut at approximately 6 centimetres by 9, and this piece is going to fit on the card here. So I'm just going to put my sentiment up in the corner, and I'm using the sentiment that says "Be as bold as your lipstick," and I'm doing it in the same colour as my card base. So Calypso Coral again. Just going to stamp that in the corner. And then that's all of our stamping with that colour. We will bring that colour back in a minute for some colouring, but that's all for now. And I've got that piece to one side. Next, I've got just a scrap of Whisper White, and I'm going to use black for this. I'm going to actually stamp my lipstick shape, and then we're going to do some colouring in with that in a second. I'm just going to stamp that on there. And then the only other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my Smoky Slate, and I'm just going to stamp one of the splodges. So there's a few different splodges in the set, and I'm just going to stamp that. I'm going to stamp it off first just to make it a little bit lighter, and then I'm going to put my lipstick down here. So I'm going to go about there. And then I've taken some Wink of Stella and I've just coloured over the top of that with the Wink of Stella, just to give it a little bit of sparkle. And you probably can't really see it very much on the video, but that just gives it a little bit of shimmer. There we go. So next step is going to do some colouring in. Now you could choose some different colouring tools. What I'm using is ink with a blender pen, but you could use Stampin' white markers or Stampin' blends or our watercolour pencils. It's entirely up to you really. But I'm going to use some ink. So we squeeze the top of the ink pad to make sure that we've got some ink in the lid. And then I'm just going to take a blender pen. And I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that colour with my blender pen and then use it to colour in my image. And the nice thing about it is that you can take a little bit more ink if you want it to be a bit darker. Or if it's a little bit too dark, you can use less ink and a bit more blending. So it's alcohol inside this pen. And just make sure that you scrub off in between colours, otherwise you can end up getting a bit of the last colour that you used on there, which we don't want. So next I'm going to take Smoky Slate. Oops, I need the lid open. That's it, I've already got some ink in there from earlier on. Now I want to keep this fairly light. I want this to look sort of like the silvery top that you often get on lipsticks. And keeping it fairly pale. And just scrub again in between. Just get rid of that grey. And then for the bottom, I'm using a slightly darker grey, so I'm using basic grey for this one. It's just a little bit darker so that we're just doing the barrel of the lipstick a little bit darker. You could of course go for completely different colours if you wanted to. So you might have a favourite colour of lipstick or something that you think, oh, I'd like to use that. Going to try and go over those bits a little bit more because it's not actually coming out quite as dark as I wanted it to. I can just build up the colour a little bit more. There we go, and just scrub off to get rid of that colour. And then because I want that metal bit to look a bit more like metal, I'm just going to use my Wink of Stella on there. Just to give it that kind of shimmery, metallic look. Okay, right, so the next thing is a bit of fussy cutting. I'm just going to cut out the lipstick, although it's not too difficult to do. It's quite an easy shape to cut out. And I'm just leaving a little white border around the edge, much like would happen if you were using one of our punches or our dies. So there we go, we've got the lipstick now. So before I start to assemble that, I'm just going to use my punch. So this piece of card that I'm going to put across is a piece of Smoky Slate. It's the same width as the card, so that's 10.5 centimetres by 6. So same thickness as the white, just we're going to have it at a different angle. So I'm using the corner punch. We've punched out the little kind of flower bits from the trio punch on 3 sides of the Smoky Slate card, and I've also punched out 2 on the bottom of my white piece there. So now we're going to start assembling really. So we're just going to put some Tombow on the back of this bit. So obviously I'm avoiding my cutout bit, so I don't want any glue on those pieces. And you can position it wherever you want really. On my first one I kept it quite low down, but on my second one I think I did it much higher. So you might decide, looking at your background, if there's a particular place you want it. But when you do decide where you want it, just use your grid lines either side of your card just to help you to line it up. There we go, and then we're going to do the same. I'm going to stick this one up here. Now I've just realised, I think because of having to restart the video it's put me off, that I've ended up having that there and nothing down here. So it doesn't matter, we can play around with it, we can have things in different places. So I might go with having that more sort of central there. So the whole point of this is that you can play around with where you want it to go. This morning we had the other Tracy who decided that she wanted hers to be absolutely in the middle. So it's entirely up to you where you want to go with it. But just use your straight lines, use your grid lines just to help you to get everything lined up nice and straight if you can. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to pop the lipstick on. So again, on one of my others I ended up with having my lipstick off up here, but because of where I've positioned my splodge, it's going to look a little bit odd like that, so I'm going to put it a bit lower down. So it's kind of one of those that, you know, there's no right or wrong way and you can just experiment and see where you want it. But what I did do is I raised my lipstick up with dimensionals, and I've used 3, and then I'm just going to use a mini one on the tip because it's a bit small. I'll just peel those backs off. Okay, I'm just going to pop that there so that it's on that splodge rather than it being floating in midair. And I think that is that. So if I bring back the other ones, you can see how we've got slight variations between all of them really. So I think this was my original one, the centre one. You can see my lipsticks sticking off the top there. This was the one I did this morning, which ended up with my white piece being much higher up and my lipstick completely on there. And then this one we've ended up with having it slightly more central and the lipstick on. So a few different ways of doing it, but equally all as effective. So just a quick reminder of what we've used then. So the stamp set that we've used is Dressed to Impress, and we've used the Trio Corner Punch. We have used Calypso Coral ink and some Smoky Slate and some Basic Grey and Memento Black. Adhesives that I've used are Tombow Multipurpose glue and some Stampin dimensionals, both the standard and the mini size. And then of course the whole thing would not be complete without our faithful Wink of Stella. So quite a quick, easy card to do. You could probably churn out quite a few, and obviously you could change it up by just using a different image. So we had some great ones today where we had sort of 2 wine glasses used or a wine bottle used instead, and made some brilliant kind of mail cards. So it's really easy to change it up and do some slightly different things with it. So thank you, Tracy. I'm glad you like them. I hope you enjoy having a go at making them yourself as well. So if anybody wants to get hold of any of these things to recreate the card yourself, all of the products can be bought through me. And if you want to drop me a message, I can help you with ordering those. And then next week I'll be back at the same time for week 3 of our Dressed to Impress series. And next week, just for a little preview, we'll be using the perfume bottle quite a lot, so that's coming next week. So have a good week. Thanks for joining me, Tracy, and anyone else that's come on it whilst I've been live, and I shall see you next week. Have a good week. Bye.